Yes, sí, Good afternoon. Today is Tuesday, March the 12th, 2024. I hereby call the local government full committee to order. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Representatives Alexander, Burkhart, Carr, Doggett, Hale, Hilton Haynes, Holsclaw, Love, Martin, McKenzie, Miller, Moon, Raper, Reedy, Rudd, Shaw, Slater, Stevens, Thompson, Warner, Vice Chairman Wright, Chairman Crawford.
Present.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Do any of the members have any personal orders or announcements? Chairman Moon, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. Today I have a young lady who is shadowing me, Mackenzie Kirkland, and she's from District 8 in Blount County. If you'd make her feel welcome, I sure appreciate it.
Representative Slater, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'm happy to have here today one of our city councilmen from Gallatin and his lovely wife, Michelle, with us, Pascal and Michelle Jobbins. If you'd stand and make them feel welcome.
Do any other members have any personal orders or announcements? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and get in today's agenda. We have 24 bills that we're going to work on today, and I am going to be jumping around trying to meet timelines so other members can make presentations of their bills in other committees. And you may see some people on the diocese get up and leave, and that's what they're doing. They're not mad at me. They're just going to go present in a different committee. At least I hope so. So be patient with us, and we'll try our best to get everybody in and out of here quickly. Today, our first bill is House Joint Resolution 685 by Gillespie. Got a proper motion and second. I do see it has an amendment. Can you please give us your drafting code?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It is 013339.
That is correct. Do I have a motion? Proper motion. Second on the bill. Representative Gillespie, you're recognized. Or would you like for us to place this amendment on the bill to be discussed?
Yes,
right.
please.
Without objection, we'll vote on placing amendment 13339 onto the bill. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Bill is now amended. You're recognized on your amended bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What this constitutional amendment does is quite simple. What we're doing here is we're simply taking what's in the TCA in regards to the duties of the sheriff and other constitutional officers and putting that into the Constitution. And with that, I welcome any questions.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor on the amended bills. Are there any questions? Representative Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, as I read the amendment, the constitutional amendment, which makes the bill, could I ask the legal to interpret exactly the difference between the current law and the amendment?
All right, Representative Miller. So you're asking that question to legal?
Correct, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Without objection, we'll go out of session to hear from legal. We're out of session. Legal, you're recognized to answer the question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Josh Houston, Legal Services. The Constitution and Article 7, Section 1 lays out the different constitutional officers for counties. However, it does not lay out their duties and responsibilities, and that's what this amendment is doing. So the Constitution as it stands now does not have these things in the Constitution.
Is that good, Larry Miller?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Again, for an example, the sheriff is the chief law enforcement officer in the sheriff's county and shall enforce the laws of the state of Tennessee. The sheriff and the sheriff's deputies are conveyors of the peace and shall have the full law enforcement jurisdictions over the sheriffs and the county. Isn't that the responsibility currently?
Legal, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Josh Houston, Legal Services. So yes, they do have that by law, but this is making it a constitutional amendment. So it would be in the Constitution rather than just a statute.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Shaw, is your question for legal? Okay. Okay. Representative Love, is your question for legal?
It is, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, you're recognized.
With this language, legal, how does this affect, I think it's for legal, maybe it's for the sponsor, how would this affect a metropolitan form of government where there's a sheriff and a police chief?
Legal, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Legal Services, Josh Houston. This would not affect a metropolitan government because a metropolitan government has its own charter outside of this constitutional provision. And so I don't think that it would have any effect in a metropolitan government.
Representative Shaw, Love. I keep looking at Sean.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I appreciate the response. I do have concerns though, and I may express them to the sponsor because I think as it stands now, our sheriff does not do law enforcement, but is primarily dealing with the local jails. I just want to make sure that it will not affect Metro Nashville negatively and then remove the chief of police from being the chief law enforcement officer. But you're saying it does not because we have a charter outside of this parameter?
Legal, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Josh Houston, Legal Services. So in the same section, there is a provision that says the General Assembly may provide for alternate forms of county government. And that's not the correct section. Give me just 1 second to find the correct section. So in Article 11, Section 9, it authorizes the General Assembly to provide for the consolidation of any or all of governmental or corporate functions now or hereafter vested in the municipal corporations with the governmental and corporate functions now or hereafter vested in the counties in which such municipal corporations are located. And so when metro counties do that, they consolidate, they can create their own charter, and so they are taken out from the other constitutional requirements for constitutional officers.
Representative Love.
Okay. Thank
Good.
you, Mr. Chair. Thank you,
All
legal.
right. Representative McKenzie, is your question for legal?
Yes, Chair.
You're recognized.
Thank you. So as it relates to Knox County and Shelby County, we both have a home rule charter form of government. So would I be correct in saying that with those two counties, this would not necessarily affect those two as well, based on your similar conversation?
Legal, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Josh Houston, Legal Services. So the provision I began reading earlier was about the charter forms of government. So the General Assembly may provide for alternate forms of county government, including the right to charter and the manner in which a referendum may be called. And that is what Shelby County and Knox County have taken advantage of and have done so. There has been some case law related to the offices of the county constitutional officers, and I think at this point, I think this amendment may affect those charter counties.
Representative McKenzie.
Okay, so I'm trying to crystallize what you said because, things like term limits that don't apply to any other county applies to those counties and things like that. And that's been in the court. But what I think I hear you saying is this particular amendment, and I'm going to put words in your mouth. Please tell me if I'm right or wrong. This particular amendment would apply to charter forms of government like Shelby and Knox.
Legal Services is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Josh Houston, Legal Services. Because this is in the same article and section, I believe that it would.
Does that take care of your question? Is there any more questions for legal? Without objection, we'll go back in session. And you've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Or is there any more questions? Representative McKenzie.
Thank you. And to the sponsor, kind of based on what you heard, our counties, because we both, I'm from Knox and you're from Shelby, both enjoy, I'll say, a personalized and charter form of government. Wouldn't it be better just to apply what you want? Because I've heard you say this is a Shelby County issue. That's the reason for starting a charter form of government, to handle things internally. So wouldn't this be best not to apply to Gibson County and Obion County and Hamilton County and those places? Wouldn't, if what you're trying to get at is to solve the things that you say ill or ills on Shelby, wouldn't this be the way to go? Just do it in Shelby and vote on it and be done?
Representative Gillespie, you're recognized.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. And Representative, I understand exactly what you're asking, and I could go into a lot of detail. However, would you mind if we go out of session and hear from some folks from the sheriff's office that are signed up to answer questions?
Without objection, we'll go out of session. And we do have a couple of speakers with us today. If y'all would please come to the table. Just whenever you're ready, turn your mic on, tell us your name and who you're with, and you will have 3 minutes.
Joshua Fox. Is this on? Okay. Joshua Fox. I'm assistant to the Director of Legislative Affairs for the Shelby County Sheriff's Department. The reason why we brought this to the representative is because this was something, Representative McKinney, that we did try to fix on a local level. We came back in 2018, if you remember, with all the legal battles between Knox County and Shelby back in 2008. The Supreme Court ruled that these offices, your 5 constitutional offices, that each county had to have these offices. However, their duties were not protected. So in a charter form of government like we have, your county body can reassign those duties to other places, put stipulations on these duties and whatnot. However, when you did your charter and put term limits in place, you still called them constitutional offices. When Shelby County, when we did ours, we named them charter officers. So when 2018, when we came back to fix the actual statute that the Supreme Court mentioned, they were called constitutional officers. So the county body legal said that because we named them charter officers, that law or statute does not pertain to Shelby County. They can still continue to do what they're doing today, which is removing salary petitions and other guaranteed rights under statute that this body has put for these offices. So all this does is it takes their duties out of statute, places it directly into the Constitution, protecting all 94 counties in Shelby County. 94 counties in the state of Tennessee of their duties and their rights. That's all.
Representative McKenzie, you're recognized.
Thank you, and thank you for coming here today. So, to me, it sounds like there was an omission or phrasing problem on your original petition back in 07, 06, whenever that happened in Shelby. I know it was 08 ended in 08 for us. Wouldn't it be better to just have another ballot initiative to put constitutional instead of charter and fix you all's problem without making everybody take cough medicine because Shelby has something going on with the sniffles?
You're recognized.
Thank you for that question, sir. Well, this just protects everybody. So from this point forward, it won't matter. Any government that adopts a charter form of government, they can name these offices whatever they want to name them, but they will be forever protected because their duties are protected under the Constitution.
Representative McKenzie, you have a follow-up. Is there any more questions for our speaker? Representative Love, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And this is, I hear your response to my colleague. And I've heard the response from legal. My concern still is that it may affect Davidson County and cause more confusion between our current sheriff, current chief, and possible future sheriff and future chief when it comes to issues of law enforcement. I would suggest, and let me ask you this, did you intend for this to affect all 95 counties in the state?
Mr. Fox?
This intention was to protect all 5 constitutional officers throughout the state of Tennessee, including us.
Representative Love?
In all 95 counties?
All
Mr.
90,
Fox?
I'm sorry, yes, sir. All 95 counties practice what is in the statute except for one office in Nashville.
Representative Love?
Thank you. So the Nashville office is different, is what I'm understanding.
Mr. Fox?
No, sir. Under the 5 constitutional officers that you have in Nashville, 4 of them practice the statutes that are set forth today.
Representative Love?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And so I guess for me, what I'm hearing you say and what legal has said seems to be different because your intention was to have it impact all 95 counties, but legal is saying that it doesn't affect counties where there's a metropolitan form of government.
Mr. Fox?
The only thing that I'm not a lawyer, but all I do know is that there are 3 metropolitan forms of government in Tennessee today. And out of the 3, 2, the chief law enforcement officer is the sheriff. And in Nashville, it is the appointed police chief. This law was just to protect the 5 constitutional officers from our county and any future counties that adopt a home rule charter.
No, sir. Thank you, Chairman.
Any other questions for the speaker? Representative Miller?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And just briefly, have you all had any prior conversations with any of the constitutional officers or in Shelby County,
Mr.
county
Fox?
commissioners, county mayor?
Yes, sir. I've spoken with the 5 constitutional officers and they're for this. They want their offices protected.
Thank you.
Any other questions for our speaker? Representative Thompson?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Have you spoken to the mayors of the different municipalities, especially within Shelby County, and discussed if they approved of this? Have they indicated any reservations or what?
Mr. Fox?
This doesn't affect any of the mayor's offices or the police departments in Shelby County.
Any other questions for the speaker? Seeing none, without objection, we'll go back in session. Mr. Fox, thank you for being with us today and taking
you,
your
Chairman.
time out to come speak to us. Representative Gillespie, you're recognized on your bill.
Thank you so much, Chairman. I hope that was insightful, and with that, I renew my motion.
Okay. Representative Love?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, to the sponsor. So is it your intention with this legislation to affect the sheriff and police chief in all 95 counties in the state?
Representative Gillespie?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My original intention of this bill is what I've already stated, and that is to put in what is already currently in code, the duties of these constitutional officers, and put them in the Constitution. It is my understanding that affects all citizens, all counties, all cities. I can't answer that any more straightforward than that.
Representative Love?
And I apologize, I wasn't here when you made the statement the first time. That's why I was asking the question.
No problem.
I would ask if you would respectfully consider at least entertaining an amendment that would allow the metropolitan forms of government to not be included, because we worked long and hard over many decades to get our metro form of government in a place where our county and city work together seamlessly. And this bill is going to cause confusion about law enforcement in the metropolitan forms of government. At least I know in Nashville, it's going to cause some confusion. And I know that you want to do what's right for your city, but I'm trying to do right for my city also. and we haven't caused any problems that I think even would warrant this. So would you consider that amendment?
Representative Gillespie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm more than welcome to sit down and talk with you about this. This was brought to me by my sheriff, Sheriff Bonner. I would want him to be part of that conversation, and I cannot promise anything more than that.
Representative Love.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is my last one. So I appreciate the offer, and I would look forward to having a conversation with you and my sheriff, Darren Hall, and my chief of police, Chief Drake, and whoever's also with Metro here, because I do think it's going to impact our city. So I look forward to that conversation. Thank you.
Representative Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Sponsor, just help me to understand some things. First of all, I came in late. I apologize for that. Are you saying that your officers, and I realize there's been some issues, but are you saying the officers in Shelby County are not doing their duty as it is? Or just help me understand exactly what you are trying to get them to do that they are not doing.
Representative Gillespie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is trying to clarify the duties that are currently in TCA, which are pretty exhaustive, or at least outlined in the Constitution, because there, as Lieutenant Fox has previously stated, there's been some ongoing issues between our charter and our county commission, and this is what that seeks to address. I believe everyone is doing their job, but I believe there are issues that simple names of what the officers are or offices are is what this seeks to address.
Representative Shaw.
Thank you. So you're saying that maybe that there is conflict in between sheriff and county commissioners and the local officers. There are some confusion as to who is supposed to be doing what, I guess.
Representative Gillespie.
Thank you so much. If we want to talk about operational issues, we can ask Lieutenant Fox to come back up if that's what you need.
Representative Shaw.
I don't think I need the lieutenant to come back up. I'm just trying to understand exactly what you are trying to accomplish with the legislation. I think is all I'm asking. If you can answer that, maybe you can.
Representative Gillespie.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm trying to answer it. What we're trying to do here is to clarify that the office of the sheriff is set forth in the Constitution. Right now, there are certain members in Shelby County Commission, past and present, that disagree on the terminology of sheriff as being a constitutional officer, being a charter officer, and this is what that seeks to clarify.
Representative Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Have you experienced or are you aware of problems with any of these 5 constitutional officers having problems in any county in Tennessee in the past year or two?
You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do know of one situation. I don't know the timeline if it was in the past calendar year, but I know there was an issue where in Shelby County, the sheriff had a request to hire a certain amount of deputies, and because of lots of issues, they were unable to hire that allotment, and so instead they wanted to use those funds for other I believe they were updated rifles and patrol cars and things of that nature. And as a result of that, the county commission took it upon himself to act as though that those new deputies were no longer needed. So then they withheld the funding. So that is an example of where this has happened. But again, I don't know if that was last year or this year. And that was in Shelby County.
Representative Thompson.
Do you know of any other example?
Representative Gillespie.
Not right now off the top of my head. No, sir.
Representative Thompson.
Okay, so we have one problem in our county, the one we both live in. we have a constitutional amendment that may fix that problem, but it also essentially invalidates part of Davidson County's charter. So I look at this as maybe a little bit overreach and really unnecessary for our Constitution. Our Constitution should be as broad as possible, but things like this tend to clutter it up. So I would hope that we would hold up on this and maybe give it more time to consider before we start passing amendment or constitutional amendments like this. Thank you.
Any response, Representative Gillespie? Next on the list is Representative Warner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move previous question.
Previous question has been called. We do have objection. I did see 3 hands, so we will be voting on the call of the previous question. All those in favor of previous question, please say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. We will now be voting on House Joint Resolution 685 as amended. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Bill moves on to Finance, Ways and Means. Next on our list is Chairman Cochran. You are recognized on House Bill 2240.
Thank you.
Proper motion and second. I do see it has an amendment. Will you please give us the drafting code that you're wanting to place?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. That is 015035.
That is correct. We got a proper motion. Is there a second? Second. Would you like us to place the amendment on the bill for discussion?
Sure, if that's the will of the committee, I think that'd be good. Thank you.
All those in favor of Amendment 15035 going on to House Bill 2240, please say aye. Opposed, no. Bill is now amended. You're recognized on your amended bill.
Thank you, Chairman and Committee. House Bill 2240 requires a report to the comptroller on how tourism funds are spent. It's already in law how those funds are supposed to be spent. This is just providing a report of that. And I'll yield any questions.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Any questions? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 2240. Moving on to Finance, Ways and Means. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Bill's moving on to Finance, Ways and Means.
Thank you, Chairman and Committee.
Representative Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I'm out of order, but I wanted to recognize in the audience, County Commissioner Erica Sugarman, and also our election commissioner, Ms. Venetia Kimbrough. Welcome. You all are here. Thank you.
Out of order. Item number 3 on today's agenda is House Bill 2879 by Chairman Todd. By request, he has asked that this be rolled 1 week. Without objection, we'll roll it 1 week. Next is item number 4, House Bill 2891 by Representative Todd. He has asked that this be rolled 1 week. So without objection, it'll be rolled 1 week. Next, Representative McKenzie.
Since Representative Miller used his one out of order, I'm going to be out of order and recognize Shelby County Commissioner Benny Smith as well.
Out of order. Representative Thompson.
I believe he was, Representative McKenzie was incorrect. Benny Smith is a state election commissioner from Shelby County.
Correction has been made. You're out of order.
Thank you.
House Bill 2981 by Representative Sapicki. Motion, is there a second? There is a second. We are in proper form for House Bill 2983. The chairman will take privilege and let everyone know that we have received a two-thirds majority vote from the local governing body. It is filed in my office. Chairman Sapicki, you are recognized on House Bill 2983.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, this is a cleanup bill from our private act back in Murray County. As the chairman alluded to, this is at the request of my county commission and my county sheriff. When the original private act was enacted in 2007, it was intended to replace a private act for civil service system, which was already in place, which had been passed by Chapter 475 of the private acts of 67 and 68, a year after I was born. The sheriff requested Chapter 475 of the private acts of 67 and 68 be deleted because it's antiquated. That's what the request does, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for the explanation. Is there any questions for the sponsor? Question has been called on the bill. It's non-debatable. All those in favor of House Bill 2983, moving on to calendar and rules, please say aye. Those opposed, no. Bill moves on to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Chairman of the Committee.
Item number 6, House Bill 474 by Reagan. Seeing this, without objection, this will be rolled to the call of the chair. Item number 7, House Bill 2976 by Representative Moody, Chairman Moody. Got a proper motion and second on the bill. Chairman will take privilege. We have received a 2/3 majority resolution from the local body, so it is in proper form. Chairman Moody, you're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Chairman and committee. This bill was brought to me by our Tipton County legislative body, and this will establish the West Tennessee Regional Utility Authority. Any questions? You
You've
want
heard
more?
the explanation of the sponsor. Is there any questions? Questions being called on the bill. We're ready to vote on House Bill 2976. Moving on to calendar and rules. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Moves on to calendar and rules.
Thank you.
We are going to jump over. Where's Slater? Okay, we're going to take up item number 11, House Bill 2988 by Representative Slater. Do I have a motion? Proper motion and second. Representative Slater, the chairman will take privilege and let everyone know that we have received a 2/3 majority resolution from the governing body, and it is filed in my office. You're recognized on your bill, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, committee. This is a private act that is brought to us from the city of Gallatin, the Gallatin City Council. And it is a bill that would allow the city of Gallatin to assess impact fees in the city of Gallatin, and this is a private act. And with that, I stand ready for questions.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Any questions for the sponsor? Chairman Doggett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Representative. What is the amount that will be assessed on the impact fee by the city of Gallatin?
Chairman Slater.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This gives the city council full power and authority, so there is not an amount on the impact fees.
Chairman Doggett, any follow-up?
No, sir. Thank you.
Any other questions for the sponsor? Representative McKenzie.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So as I'm looking at what the city council is going to use these for, I don't see anything with relation to schools or anything like that. So there's, I don't know what their makeup is, whether they have a city school district. So, but none of these funds will actually go toward building of schools as a result of this increase in housing. Is that correct?
Representative Slater, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There are, in this resolution from the city of Gallatin, there are listed some things that it could be, that the impact fees could be used for, but it's not limited to this list, and that's in the resolution.
Representative McKenzie.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Generally, these things are like, 50 to 70% of these funds have gone toward, the building of schools, which is probably the single largest kind of cost of growing enrollment in terms of building of facilities and operation of those schools. Is there a reason that that's not listed? I mean, because you have probably a dozen or so listed here. again, I know you're not on city council, but is there any reason that schools would not be listed as relate to these impact fees? Since
Representative Slater.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And as the representative stated, I'm not on the city council. We do have a city council member here. And Mr. Chairman, if we could perhaps have him come and share his testimony from the city council.
Without objection, we'll go out of session. We will hear from our speaker, Pascal. Would you please come to the table? Make sure to turn your red light on, give us your name, who you're with, and you will have 3 minutes. Sir, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. My name is Pascal Jovens. I'm a Gallatin City Councilman, District 3. To answer your question, Representative, the school is a county type school, so we will not put any money on the school system. That's a county only staff. So thank you for having me here. I know impact fees, it's a hot subject, but to give you a little of what's happening to our town is that right now we have 14,000 units who are already in the pipe to be constructed or approved. On a town of 51,000 people, that's a lot of units, and we're getting behind on infrastructure because of the cost of all infrastructure coming. We have a way to protect our constituents, and that's to be able to raise impact fees if needed. We have a lot of poverty and a lot of fixed income people who could not afford the tax raise if we cannot develop that system. We have almost 50% of our household income who's less than $50,000 a year, and the per capita income is just over $34,000, which is not a lot. And the other issue we have is that more and more cities around us have impact fees as permitted by the charter, and that put us behind, and that's an unfair system for us because we cannot compete with these people. Because the money we could get from impact fees, we have to use our general fund, where we could actually use our general fund to be able to raise our employees' paycheck and compete with these other cities and keep our employees. So that's really important to us. And again, to answer a question was asked, right now, the only amount we talk about was around $700 per unit. That's all. We're not going to try to do like some cities who ask $15,000, $16,000. No, we're going to be really reasonable. And if you look at $700, if you take a 30 years mortgage right now, that would be just over $4 more a month to the buyer. So it's insignificant on a buyer's point of view, but on the city point of view, all that money, that represents almost $10 million we're leaving on the table. And with that money, we can take care of our people and do a lot of good. And we're planning on using this money for our fire department.
You've used your 3 minutes. Can you please wrap up?
Yes, sir. So to conclude, we just want to have the ability to use impact fees if we need to, and being on a fair playing field with the city around us. I appreciate your vote and your support on that. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being with us today. Is there any questions for the speaker? Representative Shaw, Pascal, can you come back up to the table? I'm calling you by your first name because I don't want to butcher your second name. So Representative Shaw.
Thank you for being here. And I realize this is a local bill, and I understand that, but I'm not for sure I heard what the impact fees are going to be. I think it is important because I think perhaps there is some legislation that's passing through
Yes, sir.
somewhere this year about impact fees and what some of the homeowners have set on themselves to pay. So what is going to be, I think the question was asked, how much will be your impact fees on a home?
Yeah, the only number we have ever talked about at council level was $700 per unit, a one-time fee. And that fee will be going to our police department, our fire department, and our park system, only for that.
Okay. So who can
Representative
equate
Shaw?
that into square footage? Per house? Is that
Yes,
per
sir.
house? Okay.
Per unit.
Is that pretty much the going rate right now?
So the way the system works is that if we get our change of charter, we still have to go and do a study. So we'll have a company who will come do a study and tell us the maximum we can charge. And from that number, we decide to do whatever we want. But the only number we talked to was $700 per unit.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions for our speaker? Seeing none, thank you for being with us today. We appreciate you taking your time to come talk to us. Without objection, we'll go back in session. And Representative Slater, you're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just encourage a positive vote on this private act for the city of Gallatin.
Any questions for the sponsor? Representative Holtzclaw, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. And looking at HB 2988, I don't see a Senate sponsor. What's the deal there?
Representative Slater.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And the Senate, our Senate sponsor is waiting to see the will of this committee and before we move forward.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the sponsor? Representative Burkhart.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's not a cap on this, correct?
Representative Slater.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No, there's not a cap on this. It would be full power would be given to the city council. That is correct.
You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I know the number 700 got thrown out, but it could be 7,000 or 70,000. Is that correct?
Representative Slater.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The bill does not stipulate any cap on the amount.
Representative Burkhart.
Thank you. How much money are y'all hoping to raise with this impact fee?
Representative Slater.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I'm not certain of how much this may raise. Council member mentioned, we have a lot of growth in Gallatin in the city limits. So I don't have an exact dollar amount.
One more.
Representative Burkhart.
Is this on, I'm sorry, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is this only on residential or is it residential or commercial?
Representative Slater.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The bill does not stipulate whether it would be residential, commercial, or industrial. It would leave it to the will of the City Council of Gallatin.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. I think any other questions? Representative Shaw.
I hate to belabor this, and I definitely want to help you because it's a private act, but would you be willing to like roll it a week and get it in order and make sure that there's a cap and all? So we would kind of know what we're voting on, because I think there do need to be a cap. I think one of the other members have just stated, you said $700, but it could go to $7,000 because there's no cap. So would you be willing to just maybe roll it a week and get it in order? So
Representative Slater, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My understanding is with a private act like this, that would have to go through the City Council. And there'd have to be a resolution passed by a 2/3 majority in order to get it into that order.
yes, sir, that is true.
Any other questions for the sponsor? Representative Warner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you, Representative, for bringing the bill. But there, on the dashboard here, there's no Senate sponsor out beside it. Is there a Senate sponsor?
Representative Slater, you're recognized again.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And our Senate member from Sumner County, I had a conversation with him today. And he's ready to take this up and to sponsor this legislation based on any action in the House.
Any other questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. Without objection, all those in favor of House Bill 2988 moving on to calendar and rules, please say aye. Those opposed, no. Bill fails. Next on our list, I'm going to jump over to item 18, House Bill 2426 by Representative Hicks. Got a proper motion and second. Representative Hicks, I do see we have some amendments. Would you please give us the drafting code of the amendments you want placed on the bill?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want 014531 to stay the amendment.
Okay, hang on just a second. Give us that amendment again.
014531.
Okay. All right. We do have a proper motion and second on amendment number 01531. Hang on just a second. We have a more update version of amendment. He's going to.
We're good.
Representative Hicks, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're going to keep the amendment just the way that it is currently, using that drafting code that I just gave you.
Okay, we have a proper motion and second. All those in favor of placing amendment code 014531 going on the bill, all those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Your bill is now amended, sir. You are recognized on House Bill 2426 as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 2426 makes changes to the County Powers Relief Act to further assist counties financially. The amendment states that the resolution or ordinance to impose the tax must be adopted by 2/3 vote of the entire county legislative body. The ordinance must have 2 consecutive meetings, and the ordinance must be identical at both meetings. In 67-4-2907, the amendment changes the qualifications for the tax to a 20% increase in population between 2010 and 2020 census, or a 9% increase over the last 4-year period according to a special census. County may use a federal census estimate to maintain qualifications based on growth. The comptroller must verify these numbers and review the county's qualifications. As amended, this adds commercial property to the County Powers Relief Act. This bill updates the definition section and changes the definition of development to include residential and commercial property. Public buildings, nonprofit buildings, mega sites, and other buildings remain exempt. Square footage is based on finished, heated, and cooled floor area, and it's only for new construction. In 67-4-2908, the proposal is to increase the tax from $1 to $1.50 per square foot on new commercial and residential property. Counties may increase the rate of the tax after 4 years by a percent of up to 10%, and they must adopt any increase by 2/3 vote on an ordinance following the same procedures as outlined above. The tax is due upon the completion, but must be paid prior to the issuance of the certificate of occupancy. If a county no longer qualifies under the County Powers Relief Act, they may use their private act, but only at the same rate in which it was previously set. So I'll stop there and be happy to answer any questions that anyone might have.
You've heard the explanation from the sponsor on the amended House Bill 2426. Any questions for the sponsor? Representative McKenzie.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So in terms of the funds, what can these funds be used for? Like we discussed, is that any and everything? Is it schools? What's the point and purpose of these funds and how they're to be used?
Chairman Hicks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In this act, it's only can be used for schools and school buildings.
Representative McKenzie for follow-up.
Okay, so even if adding 500 units to a street, there's no provision to widen the street or add traffic lights or upgrade the sewer system as a result of this new inflow of cars and water.
Chairman Hicks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That is correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the sponsor? I do see on our list that we have a speaker. Would you like for them to speak, or are you good?
It would be great if they would speak. Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Without objection, we'll go out of session and we'll hear from Trey Lewis. Mr. Lewis, if you would turn your red button on and state your name, who you're with, and you will have 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Trey Lewis. I'm with Old South, which is Tennessee's largest locally owned home builder. We're based in Rutherford County, and we're experiencing firsthand the need for added public services as a result of unprecedented growth. All across the state, our home builders have pulled together with our elected officials and started working towards solutions that have to be imposed fairly upon all development, not just targeting the home buyer or the home builder. We don't really like taxes, and with this bill, we advocate taxing ourselves. We know that. In Murfreesboro, we're already paying over $12,000 for every home we build in fees. But this bill does demonstrate that home builders are committed to working with the cities and the counties to increase and uplift the quality of life throughout Tennessee. And we'd appreciate your support with this bill.
Any questions for the speaker? Representative McKenzie.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate you coming here. So I heard you say that you're going to tax yourself. So what you're saying is you're not going to go up on the bottom line of the house and pass these fees onto the home buyer.
Mr. Lewis.
Yes, they're all part of the equation. And yes, we do have to pay them. One thing this bill does that will help the consumer is we don't have to pay the taxes up front. We pay them at the end of the transaction.
Representative McKenzie.
Okay, so indirectly, the homeowner is going to end up eating this
Absolutely.
cost.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you are taxing our constituents. So I hate that.
We do too.
Yeah, So with that, you had talked about utilities. I don't know the word you used, so I don't want to quote you. But are you aware that per the sponsor, the only thing these funds are going to go for is schools?
Yes, that's what started the conversation.
Any other questions for the speaker? Chairman Rudd.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Trey, Mr. Lewis. There's a huge difference in the, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the County Powers Relief Act, there are two basic types of taxes or fees, and that's an impact fee, which is a price per lot, regardless of the value of the home. And there's the adequate facilities tax, which is based on square footage, so it's a little bit more fairly distributed and equitable. But the biggest thing, like he said, over the last few months, all the parties have come together that have agreed to tax themselves up front and absorb that, which will affect not only their bottom line, but also their ability to sell. And these are reasonable prices, but they're doing this for the community, and I want to applaud you for that, because not everybody will. And also, I believe, and we can address that when we come back into session, Mr. Chairman, but I believe that this is only affecting 5 counties in the fast-growing areas, and the fast-growing counties need relief, and this is a permissive option for the counties to adopt if they so choose. And I want to thank you for all the interested parties, the developers, the builders, the realtors, all coming together, both at the state and the local level, and working out this and getting most parties on board. But I want to thank you for all you've done to help the community. Thank you.
Any other questions for our speaker? Seeing none, without objection, we'll go back in session. Representative Hicks, you are recognized on your bill, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And this act currently will only affect Rutherford, Sumter, Troutdale, Murray, and Montgomery counties. They're the ones that has the 20% growth. And I think, you know, it's important to realize that on these kind of fees, this kind of tax, it's important for home builders and commercial contractors to be a part of this, because a lot of times whenever one slows down, the other one picks up, and it keeps somewhat of a steady stream of money coming through. And I think that's important. And it's also very important for counties and cities to realize that anytime that you're trying to raise people's pay or you're trying to sell bonds, a building permit is not the place to bank on the money. Trust me. I've seen this industry slow down and come to a stop many times in my 43 years of building. So it's very important that you use this money wisely. It should go to schools, but you don't always want to depend upon this money. And I think that's the way this bill was crafted really takes care of that. If the county quits growing and slows down and it goes below the 20%, then this will go away. So that's exactly the way that it should be. So thank you, Mr.
Chairman Doggett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just had a few questions about this, but one, is this going to be applicable to if you were doing an addition on an existing home? Could these, and you have to pull a building permit to do such, would this impact be applicable on this addition to an existing home?
Chairman Hicks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The intent of this is only for new construction, period.
Chairman Doggett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did not, and I may have overlooked it, but I've read through it multiple times. I did not see it expressly defined in the language as such. But I guess that would be applicable to commercial buildings as well. If an industry moves to town and they purchase an existing building and add 500,000 square foot to it, would this kick in for this impact fee on that as well, or would they be exempt?
Chairman Hicks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If they was adding a huge part onto a home, I would want, or onto a commercial building, I would rather let that be the local's decision. A big part of this bill is leaving all of this stuff. I mean, it is completely the local's decision. They can set this fee at anything that they want to. It just can't be above $1.50. So really, you know, certain things like that, I would rather leave in a local's decision.
Chairman Doggett.
Thank you. And also, it being that it does have some dealings with commercial buildings, could it be used as a recruitment tool, or would it, I guess it could either go either way as far as recruiting new industry or commercial businesses into a community? As far as I know, sometimes there's incentive packages that are put together to help recruit through ECD, and I guess the locals could use it to exclude them from, or say, we won't levy this impact fee on you if you come in and build this nice facility. I guess that's my question.
Chairman Hicks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That would be a local decision, totally.
Right. One more.
Chairman Doggett.
You don't take in commercial? Okay. All right. Final question is that, and I guess this, I know it talks about how the builder is the one that is paying this tax, but ultimately it would be passed on to the buyer. Is that correct? It would be a part of the, so if a house costs you $300,000, there's going to be, when it comes time to close, that fee is going to be passed on to the buyer in some form.
Chairman Hicks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It will be passed on to the home buyer.
Okay, thank you.
Next on the list is Chairman Carr.
Call the question.
Call the question. This is non-debatable. We're ready to vote without objection. Seeing no objection, we're going to vote on House Bill 2426. Moving on to finance. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Bill moves on to finance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee.
Everybody see Chairman Sapicki up there too. He played a big part in that. And Chairman will take privilege here and recognize Representative Hicks on all his hard work that he has done on this particular bill. We'd never been able to get everybody all to the table, and he was able to do that. So thank you, Representative Hicks. Next on today's list is House Bill 2312. Item number 8 on your calendar by Representative Vaughn, Vice Chairman Vaughn. Got a proper motion and second. I do see it has an amendment. Will you please give us your drafting code?
It is 014462.
Proper motion and second on the amendment. Would you like us to place the amendment on the bill for discussion?
Please.
Is there any objection to placing the amendment on the bill? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on amendment 14462 going on to House Bill 2312. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. You're recognized on your amended bill.
Thank you, Chairman Crawford. Property trustees are able to take partial payments when citizens of a county owe on their property taxes. Currently in the state of Tennessee, there are two methods that are accepted. One is the pro rata method and one is paying interest first. This bill would require all of those who collect property taxes to take partial payments on the pro rata method. That means that if 90% of what you owed was on your property taxes and 10% of what you owed was on interest, then if someone came in and made a $100 payment, 90% of that would go to their property tax owed and the remaining 10% would go to interest owed. The advantages of this bill are, number one, it would provide uniformity across the state. The second advantage is it would benefit the taxpayer because they would end up owing less interest. Interest is owed on property tax, but interest isn't owed on interest. So the pro rata method benefits the taxpayer.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on 2312. Where's it going? 2312, where's it going? Going to calendar and rules. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Bill moves on to calendar and rules.
Thank you all.
Representative Bricken. House Bill 1535, item number 9. Proper motion and second. I do see it has an amendment.
Yes, sir.
Please give us your drafting code.
13374.
That is correct. Proper motion and second on the amendment. Would you like us to place the amendment on the bill for discussion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
All those in favor of amendment 13374 going on to House Bill 1535, please say aye. Opposed, no. Bill is now amended. You're recognized on your amended bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. This bill is specific for Coffee County, and it just provides that if the county acquires property in a delinquent property sale, they're not obligated for the HOA fees on that property unless they use that property for county purposes.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Any questions? Representative Shaw.
I think I got that. So whoever owed those taxes would still be responsible for paying those taxes, even if the county uses it for county purposes,
The county would be obligated for the taxes and the HOA fees.
if they use it for county purposes, but if
Correct.
not,
It would just stay and accumulate and be the responsibility of the buyer of the property.
thank you.
Any other questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 1535 as amended, moving on to calendar and rules. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Bill moves on to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Chairman and committee.
House Bill 2443 by Representative Capley. Proper motion in second. Representative Capley, you're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I sure do appreciate you. Members, House Bill 2443 requires that a person seeking to qualify for election in the office of county clerk to be a qualified voter of the county and a resident of the county for a year prior to the date of the qualifying deadline to run as candidate. And that's what the bill does.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Any questions for the sponsor on the bill? Question is being called non-debatable. All those in favor of House Bill 2443, moving on to calendar and rules, please say aye. Opposed, no. Bill moves on to calendar and rules. Representative Darby. Got a proper motion in second on House Bill 2980. Chairman will take privilege and let everyone know that I've received a 2/3 majority resolution from the local governing body. You're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 2980 is a local bill for Cottage Grove. It deletes the position of town marshal, requires candidates for mayor and alderman to be permanent residents of Cottage Grove, and changes reasons to declare a vacancy on board of mayor and aldermans. I stand for questions.
Any questions for the sponsor? Representative Chairman Doggett, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sponsor, when you first came up here a couple years ago, you told me that your goal one day when you retired from the legislature was to be the town marshal. And now you're removing that from, so I didn't know if you had other plans.
Representative Darby, you can respond if you want to.
I'll stand for questions.
Any other questions for the sponsor? Questions being called on the bill. We're ready to vote on House Bill 2980. Moving on to calendar and rules. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Bill moves on to calendar and rules. House Bill 2982 by Representative Travis. I'm going to get him.
Okay.
He's got to present a bill. Come on, Representative Travis. House Bill 2982. You're recognized on, do I have a proper motion? There's a motion in second. You're recognized on your bill. The chairman will take privilege and let everyone know that we've received a 2/3 majority vote from the governing body. It's filed in my office. Representative Travis, you're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. It just corrects some things for the city of Graysville, which is in my district. They don't have a city treasurer, so the city recorder is going to do that. So we're just moving the city treasurer out and putting the
You've
city.
heard the explanation of the sponsor on the bill. The question's been called. We're ready to vote on House Bill 2982. Moving on to calendar and rules. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Bill moves on to calendar and rules.
Thanks, sir. Thanks, sir.
Representative Darby, you're up on House Bill 2975. Proper motion and second on the bill. I've received a 2/3 majority resolution from the governing body. You're recognized on your bill, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 2975 is a local bill for the city of Brewston. Subject to local approval, raises the monetary limit on purchasing that do not require competitive bidding from $2,500 to $25,000. I'll stand for questions.
You've heard for the explanation of the sponsor. Any questions for the sponsor? Questions being called, non-debatable. All those in favor of House Bill 2975, moving on to calendar and rules, please say aye. Opposed, no. Bill moves on to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee.
You're welcome. House Bill 0835 by Representative Ritchie has been requested that we roll that 1 week. Without objection, it'll be rolled 1 week. Back to Representative Travis, House Bill 2979. Got a proper motion in second. I've received 2/3 majority resolution from the governing body. You're recognized on your bill, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And this is like musical chairs with Mr. Darby, so
Yes.
it's been fun. It looks like I'm
I
the
wanted
winner
to
though.
see you guys dance.
This is another local bill in Pikeville, Tennessee. It just increases the monthly salary for the members of the Town of Pikeville Board of Aldermen from $150 to $500 a month.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Any questions? The question has been called, non-debatable. All those in favor of House Bill 2979 going on to calendar and rules, please say aye. Opposed, no. Bill moves on to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee.
House Bill 2612 by Representative Bulso will be rolled to the call of the chair. I want to get Freeman. House Bill 2984 by Representative Freeman. Proper motion and a second. I've received 2/3 majority resolution. Representative Freeman, you are recognized.
Thank you, Chairman and Committee. House Bill 2984 is a private act that authorizes Metropolitan Council to create the East Bank Development Authority. The state of Tennessee has a material investment in the East Bank that deserves protection. The East Bank Development Authority, I believe, is the best way to protect the state's investment. State constitutional officers serve as ex officio members of the board. It removes bonding infrastructure for the Metro General government financing. The reason that I think this is the best way to do this is it removes the ebb and flow of political whims. This is going to be a body, professional body, that is solely responsible for ensuring our investment is taken care of wisely. And with that, I stand ready to answer questions.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Is there any questions? We've got a proper motion already. Question has been called on the bill. The chairman will take privilege and recognize I said that I have received a 2/3 majority resolution. We have received a letter from the city council. I apologize. Question has been called on the bill. We're ready to vote. All those in favor of House Bill 2984 going on to calendar and rules, please say aye. Opposed, no. If you would like to be recorded as a no, please see the clerk.
Thank you, Chairman and Committee.
The ayes have it. Moves on to calendar and rules. Next on today's agenda is Chairman Reagan. We have House Bill 474. We have a proper motion and second. I do see it has an amendment. Can you please give us your drafting code?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Drafting code is 014657.
That is correct. Is there a motion, proper motion on the set and second on the amendment? Would you like us to place the amendment on the bill for discussion?
Yes, please, sir.
Okay. Without objection, we're ready to vote on amendment 14657 going on to House Bill 474. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. If you'd like to be recorded as a no, please see the clerk. You're recognized on your amended bill, Chairman Reagan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Since I've stood before this committee once before, I will just basically say that what the amendment does is clarify the previous discussion, and it specifically says that an individual who is a descendant of persons who were enslaved as compensation. Let me begin again. The county, the municipality, or metropolitan government shall not expend funds for the purposes of studying or dispersing reparations. As used in this section, reparations means money or benefits provided to an individual who is a descendant of persons who were enslaved as compensation for the enslavement of the individual's ancestors. With that, I stand ready to answer questions.
All right. First on the list is Representative Love.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To the sponsor, if you can again, the difference in the two amendments is what?
Chairman Reagan.
Thank you for the question. The difference in the amendments was it clarifies that the descendants of persons, the language was less clear in the previous amendment.
Follow up. Representative Love.
Yes, sir. So I'm reading the amendments, and one amendment, I guess the old amendment, spoke to an individual's. The amendment we just put on speaks to an individual. And with that being stated, does this mean that groups or individuals can be studied versus individual?
Chairman Reagan.
The intent since a group is made up of individuals, is to make sure that it's an individual consideration, so not for groups.
Representative Love.
Thank you, Chairman. And of course, I'm still opposed to the legislation because I do have tremendous level of concern about the assumption that the U.S. economy and individual states' economies did not benefit from the free and forced labor of individuals who were part of the tobacco and cotton and sugarcane industry and were not compensated for that. I have difficulty wrapping my head around what is the harm in allowing, if a county government or city government wants to conduct a study to see what the economic value would have been or was for the free and forced labor of Africans. And I know I expressed that one time before, but again, it's personal for me because I can trace back to my great-grandfather's mother, Myra Love, who was enslaved, and her son was enslaved in Tennessee and had forced labor upon them. And I know for a fact then, because of their forced labor, the economy of Tennessee benefited. And so I have problems with this. I have deep-rooted problems with not even allowing a study.
Representative Love, we just have a few minutes in this committee. Can you please get to the question?
I can't, Mr. Chairman, but I will. But very rarely, Mr. Chairman, do we have bills that are about us individually. We have bills about counties, about impact fees, about schools. But this bill is about some of us on this committee. And I would hope that the members would understand the gravity of the discussion we're having, that to just wholesale say that it can't even be studied. So I don't have a question, Mr. Chairman. I'm done.
Thank you. Next on the list is Representative Warner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move previous question.
Question has been called. Is there any objection to the question? I do see 3 hands. We'll be voting on the objection. All those in favor of previous question, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. We are now back on House Bill 474. Question has been called. We will be voting on House Bill 474, moving on to calendar and rules. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Bill moves on to calendar and rules. If you'd like to be recorded as no, please see the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee.
All right. Next on today's agenda is item number 17, House Bill 2612 by Representative Bolso. Got a proper motion and second. Representative Bolso, you're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, members of the committee. This is a local bill that came to me from the majority leader in the Senate, Senator Jack Johnson. It applies only to HOAs in Williamson County that have more than 300 residential units. Effectively, what it does is it allows a homeowner to request the board of directors of an HOA to obtain a police report that compiles the number of police arrests and other activities in a subdivision, and then requires that the HOA make that information available to its members, its homeowners, electronically. It imposes no costs or fees or anything of that nature on the HOA.
You've
It's
heard
simply-
oh, I'm sorry.
And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'm ready for questions.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Is there any questions? Previous question has been called. All those in favor of House Bill 2612, moving on to calendar and rules, all those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. If you'd like to be recorded as a no, please see the clerk. Bill moves on to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Mr.
Next on today's agenda is House Bill 2553 by Chairman Reedy.
Thank you,
I
Mr.
do
Chairman.
see we have some amendments. Can you please give us the amendments that you want to move forward?
The number one amendment, 14859, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we'll take these individually. All those in favor of House Bill 1489, 859, moving on to House Bill 2553. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. It is now amended on House Bill 2553. I do see another amendment, drafting code. Would you like to place that amendment on the bill?
I will yield to the amendment sponsor.
Sponsor, you're recognized on your amendment.
Yes, sir. I would move that we put that amendment on the bill. I think it's 015419.
That is correct. Do I have a motion? Proper motion? Is there a second? Proper second. All those, would you like us to place the amendment on the bill for discussion, sir?
Yes, sir.
Without objection, we'll place House Bill 15419 on to House Bill 2553. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Bill is now amended. Representative Chairman Reedy, you are recognized on amended Bill 2553.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. Of course, last year recall House Bill 40 and was talking about property ownership by foreign entities. And of course, through collaboration with Arkansas, there's a number of states doing the same type of bill. We made this Tennessee specific. Members, and I'll try to go through this logically as well as covering the fiscal aspect of it. And at the end, that'll help some of the members who may be on finance. But currently, United States Department of Agriculture put into place, and that requirement, I guess I should start at that page. That requirement from the Agriculture Foreign Investment Disclosure Act of 1978 states all foreign persons who acquire or transfer an interest in agriculture land thereafter are required to report such transactions within 90 days of date of acquisition or transfer. In addition, any foreign person who holds land that subsequently becomes or ceases to be agriculture land, or any person who holds agriculture land and subsequently becomes or ceases to be a foreign person, must also file a report within 90 days of such change. What we have found is this reporting goes to the federal government, but it does not come to the state of Tennessee. So therefore, in this bill, when they file that report, they have to file it with the state of Tennessee. This report is a 236-page report that was published December 31st, 2020. And members, I'll share with you what we're up against. Stewart County, which is a new part of my district, and this document I'm happy to share with you. It has all 95 counties in it. The first column shows Canada. Canada owns 0 property in Stewart County. Netherlands, 0 property. Italy, 0 property. United Kingdom, 182 acres. Germany, 0 property. And then you have the last column that says all others. We don't know who all others are, but this is right next to Fort Campbell, Montgomery County, 34,695 acres. Who is the foreign entity that owns this property right next to Fort Campbell? And I think hopefully Department of Defense is listening to this. To get into the brass tacks of the bill, what I'm going to do is read off, and then I'm going to tell you the page in the bill and under the code where this will go. This clarifies that the Office of Property Intelligence has jurisdiction over agriculture and non-agriculture property. In other words, we're putting this under the Department of Agriculture to the Commissioner of Agriculture, who will come to GovOps with rules rolling this out.
Chairman Reedy, we got 4 minutes, sir. If you could.
I'll be quick. Page 7 has no conflict with TDEC. Page 7 is the Office of Property Intelligence with the agriculture. I guess more important, let me fast forward. Prohibited foreign party, it's under Code of Federal Regulations 22 CFR 126-1, and that's where you'll find the 24 counties, 24 states listed. And with that, page 6, it refers to resident alien. So if it's a resident alien of the state of Tennessee or these United States, those folks living here legally can own property. And with that, the fiscal note on it, and I'll finish up with that. The funds that we earmarked for last year going to the Secretary of State's office, basically the $82,000, that will come out of the Secretary of State's office, rolled back for financial purposes and come to the Department of Agriculture. I'll stand for questions.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Is there any questions? Seeing none, without objection, we're ready to vote. And on House Bill 2553 as amended, moving on to Government Operations Committee. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Bill will move on. Before I forget it and before we run out of time, he was recognized on the floor the other night, but I'd like to take chairman's privilege and recognize Larry Miller, who is our senior member of the General Assembly in the House. And he's put a lot of time in, and he's well respected, and he's been a good friend to me. And I just wanted to take a moment and do that. The last bill I think we'll get taken up today is House Bill 24, and it is me. So I'll pass the gavel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is House Bill 2382 by Chairman Crawford. Have proper motion and second. Chairman Crawford, describe your bill.
This is the County Administrator of Elections bill. What this does is allow our county administrators to communicate with candidates via email. They don't have to send it by letter anymore. If they have the ability and they want to, they can send it by email. If they don't want to, they don't have to.
Any questions for the
Question on the bill.
question's been called? Seeing no objection, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill moves on to calendar and rules.
Okay, guys, we got to turn the room over to our statesman, Chairman Kiesling, who is with us, and so we appreciate that. But all the bills that we did not take up today, they will be rolled to next week's calendar without objection. It is rolled. Representative Love, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before we dismiss, I know we have one member of the Links Incorporated who is here with us. It's their day on the Hill. She'll please stand. Ms. Kelly Ewing. Please make her feel welcome. Oh, I'm sorry. Two members, I'm sorry.
Thank you for
Two
being
members.
with us today. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Without objection, we are adjourned.